I had painted with a group in Mexico. We formed a group called World Art Workshop. People, teachers, and different artists that were there would meet in summers and Christmas time, and we were always there together. We decided, why don't we decide to travel together and meet new people, new faces, and new experiences. And so we did. After they were mostly teachers, and after that teaching, we would meet in Mexico. Then we would take off on some trips. Maybe, well, we went to Greece twice. We went to France. We went to Ireland. We went to Austria, and New York, of course, Woodstock, New York, our students league. So at my age, I've been around a lot of things. But anyway, my inspiration came from traveling and these friends of mine. Some from California, some from New York, some from Pennsylvania, just a group that had met at this Instituto in San Miguel de Allende. My children started the art colony. When I was 80 years old, they decided I think I wasn't going to live much longer, so they were going to celebrate with me. And they brought all these friends, a lot of these friends, and their families, down to the lake for the first time we met. Then we decided, had a wonderful time. After that, we decided we'd try it.
I received a letter from her daughter in Atlanta saying that the family wanted to do something to recognize her 80th birthday.
Carlisle Mission, I decided we wanted to try to sort of bring the art colony to her.
What a wonderful idea to organize an art colony, expose people to the lake and to the possibility of promoting art in Alexander City and on Lake Martin.
Well, my involvement with the art colony began when Sarah was having a hot dog at Carlisle Drug one day, and I happened to be in the store to purchase something, and she looked up and said, "Wayne, would you help me get this art colony started?" And I said, "Well, of course, Sarah."
We hired Hugh Williams convinced him to be the instructor, and we had known Hugh for years and knew what a wonderful instructor he was and continues to be.
I thought I'm younger, much younger than they are. They know more about it than I do, and what in the world am I doing doing this? You know, it was a surprise, but I was very honored that I would be asked to do this.
What I remember is, of course, finding the right location for it, finding the right time of the year.
And Ralph sort of paved the way for me to speak to some people who could make things a little easier in locating the place on the lake, which was a room behind the old Carlisle restaurant, which was dark, but they let us use it, and then we had the fishing cabins. We rented the fishing cabins.
We were painting in the old Carlisle restaurant in there, one of the rooms there. It was a dark wood paneling, and as you can imagine, the room was really dark, except for a few windows that let in a little bit of natural light.
Maybe a dining room that was all pine and painted dark brown, and there was no light. There was lights that hung from the ceiling, I think light bulbs mostly, and very little light coming in. How they managed to see anything, I don't know.
There were only 5 artists that first year.
They were all quite good, actually, within their own isms. They worked well, and they worked. They came there to work, and they did work well over there.
In order to obtain a grant from the state at that time, you had to have matching funds. Well, we had no funds, so we decided that we would have a fundraiser, and Eileen and Richard Carlisle were kind enough to offer their home and a new summer house that they had just built, and everyone in town wanted to see it. And so this was an impetus for people to buy tickets to attend. And I think we raised somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,500. When I mentioned to the State Arts Council that we had raised that much at a tea, they were just amazed. They couldn't believe it. and we got the grant.
I had heard about it and really thought it was maybe very exclusive, and about I had been to the exhibits when it was her friends.
It grew steadily, slow at first.
When I first got involved in the art colony, we had one teacher, and it was at the old part of Children's Harbor. And we were kind of a fledgling art colony at that time. I think it was about the third year.
We gradually added another studio. We had one studio. We went to 2 studios with 2 guest artists.
From the early years of the Alabama Art Colony, the Sarah Carlisle Towery Colony, I've been involved in, and I was invited to come up, not the first year, but somewhere along in there, and we had a great time. We painted at Kalijah, and anytime you got a group of artists together, there's a tremendous amount to be learned.
We've had fabulous instructors over the years. We've had instructors that much larger metropolitan areas would love to have come and teach.
Art colony setting is so great because you bring in instructors that the general mass of painters don't have access to, and there's such a range of people. You've got professional painters, you have Sunday painters, you have first-time painters, you have college professors, heads of art departments. They all come to these art colonies, and they come to learn. They all want to do the same thing. They want to get better as painters.
It's been just a tremendously successful thing, which has required a lot of participation by a lot of local people and some people that from outlying areas, and they've just done a great job. Now we have 2 instructors and as many as 50 artists, so it's been a great success.
Permanent collection of the Sarah Tower Art Colony hangs in the Board of Education building, which is very appropriate.
They were thrilled to get it, and we have a permanent place in this building, and it is, to me, it has great visibility because they have people in from all over the state that are coming in and think that are really impressed with our educational system that they would have the art displayed that they have there.
Oh, it's outstanding, and I would really love to see it tour.
It's a wonderful exhibit of art, and it would certainly encourage anybody to see it to be a part of the art colony.
In fact, we had an exhibit at Montevallo University. Laurie Binion helped us, who was a longtime colony member, and helped to organize that exhibit. And it was a great success. People loved to see the work.
The dam was started in 1922. It was 1926 before the lake filled up. And it was not, it didn't become an overnight success. The local people call it the backwater. And because of the mosquito situation and the illnesses that mosquitoes caused, people were afraid of the water to begin with. And also, the lake wasn't a clear, pristine body of water like it is today.
When Children's Harbor was formed and they allowed us to use their area, that was just a godsend. It's a beautiful facility, and they're so generous about allowing us to use it, and whatever we want to use, what facilities we want to use, we're allowed to do that, and it's an ideal location.
Lake Martin could not be a prettier place. I've traveled a good bit, and I've never seen a prettier lake. And here's this gorgeous setting with all these artists there and up to paint and learn, and it's fabulous.
At one year we had a model. We did figure drawing or figure painting and modeling. We had a model. In fact, after the model left, Sarah actually modeled for me. And I was so thrilled, and I'm afraid I didn't produce anything of merit, but she had such great fun.
There have been years when I have produced or painted things. Everything I painted seemed to be successful. By the same token, there was one year where I feel like I learned a great deal, but I did not have one successful painting. But so I think that's something that most people need to understand is that you don't always have to come out with a perfect painting to have gained a great deal from attending the workshops.
One of the things I remember most about Miss Sarah was they invited me up to do a workshop up in outside of Alex City in a stone school that somebody had converted, and we were I had done a still life in the round, and everyone was around it painting, and she stood up and then bent over, and she was probably close to 90 at this time. I don't know how she was, but she would stand up and she would paint leaning over and touching the ground from a standing position.
I remember we were at a board meeting once, and I was sitting there with just a notepad and was doodling, and I like to doodle in geometric shapes, and I was just overlapping triangles on a piece of paper and shading them in with my pencil. And after the meeting, she said, what is that? What have you done? I said, I was just doodling. She said, may I have it? So I was very flattered that Miss Sarah Towery would want my doodling that I had done while I was not paying attention at the meeting.
Well, I was hoping that it would last this long. I knew for sure it would last as long as Miss Sarah was alive. But right before she passed, I think she probably asked everybody that was on the board if they would please continue after her passing. And so we all have, and I think that yes, it will continue and be, something for future generations to look forward to.
I think the future to come is going to be strong, and I think it will go forward. I think they've got to decide exactly where they want to go, and go that way and go that very strong. And I think that it can be done.
And I hope that it will continue to be a retreat for artists as well as a time of instruction.
It was really very funny. One lady I had afterwards, I asked her how did she like the teacher and how to go. She said, well, I didn't get very much from the teacher, but I sure got a lot out of the group I was with.
And the energy that you get from being there, that is just part and parcel of the experience, is, I think, transferred onto the canvas.
If that person really wants to paint, there's nothing I or any other teacher or any other person can say is going to stop you.
An art colony helps keep the arts alive in a community. We come into such a world of electronics and all this modern technology that the old arts, the painting, the music, the poetry, all that kind of stuff could die if we don't have something that will help keep it alive. And I do think that an art colony is a situation that really fosters that and promotes it.